Alright, hello, how's it going everybody? I'm Giraffe. I'm the current world record holder for Slime Rancher 80% Glitchless, and this is my advanced tutorial for the category. If you're looking to learn the category and you do not know the route, I'd highly recommend a different tutorial by Rockhan. It's his beginner guide. It's going to show you the route in a much clearer, slower way. This is more a tutorial for people who are familiar with the route and are looking to improve their times. If that's you, I hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. Alright, so before I get into the tutorial, I just wanted to mention a few things that you should know before you get started on your runs. Start out, you might notice that I'm using a practice mod. I'm using a couple mods actually. It's the Slime Rancher cheat menu and Slime Rancher speedrun helper. This will allow me to use like certain features such as no clip and like giving myself items and money and teleporting different places, and it'll just helps you practice on some more of the difficult tricks and just makes you more consistent. So all of those linked in the description if you want to get those. Also, version. This is not too important for most people, but if you're looking to like get better times, or if you're having trouble with autosaving, I would recommend downgrading to version 1.4.1. This will save you a couple seconds in one area of the run that I'll mention later, and it also just doesn't autosave nearly as much, so if you have a weaker computer, then you'll have less of the stuttering that you'll see sometimes throughout the run. For timing, I recommend using Live Split. It's just a great speedrunning tool for Windows. There are different alternatives for other OSs like Linux. I'm not sure what they use, but I know they use something. There's an auto splitter for a certain section of the run, so if you don't want to manually split, you can just use that. It works great, and it just makes something easier, and timing is easier. What else? Okay, yeah, party crates too. So if you're playing the game on the most recent version on a weekend, so basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm pretty sure, there is a 50% chance that each crate that will spawn will be a party crate, which basically makes it so that they only drop cosmetics. You won't get any food, you won't get any slimes or money, stuff like that. And that can be pretty bad if you're short on food or money or something like that. So what you can do is you can either change the date and time on your system. You could use a program that modifies the time that the game thinks you're running at, or also if you downgrade, then you just don't have to worry about that because it doesn't access your system date. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. So I'm just gonna get into the route real quick. Alright, so for the first split of the game, this is the Pink Gordo split. I'm not going to go too in depth about what you're supposed to be doing. Again, if you're looking for that type of video, Rockhan's video will be linked in the description. Highly recommend that. Just want to mention that for this section, and this is just more of a general tip for the whole game, but whenever you're vacuuming stuff up, there's going to be a like stream that follows you. You actually don't want to pay attention to that. You want to pay attention to your crosshair. If you try to like follow the stream with it, it won't back stuff off, and you might be losing time for that. So pay attention to the crosshair mostly. Alright, yeah, so you just want to grab those carrots at the start, make sure that you grab those, then go here, here, here. And for this section, you're gonna run out of sprint around here. Around this area, you're gonna run out of sprint. Just make sure that you don't start sprinting until about here, where you're gonna fully regain it. If you start sprinting early, you're gonna run out again, like here, and you're just gonna be walking the whole way, and it's just losing a couple seconds. So just make sure that your sprint is full whenever you start to go again. If you don't have enough fruit by this tree, so if you have like 18 or 28 or whatever, then what you can do is come down here and then see if this tree spawns. It's about, I think, a 50% chance that it spawns. If it doesn't spawn, then not much you can do. You can look if there's some crates or just get some of the earlier backups, but mostly just you have to reset. Get some carrots real quick. Alright, so whenever you land down here, also one thing, one thing you can do, instead of running around here and then falling down, what you can do is just jump over this little fence and then do a shoot under your feet, and then you can land here, save some time by just not having to go around. You also can just jump off of it, but that's a bit more tight to do cleanly. But anyway, once you get down to this bridge, basically just want to shoot whenever you feel comfortable. If you're pretty consistent with the shooting, you can start back here, and that'll work just fine. Something to note, if you like land to the side, you might have to change your angle, and you can like bank off of this, which is not good. So just make sure that you have a clear line of sight to the Gordo before you start shooting. And sometimes something that can happen is you'll like step on some weird gap in the bridge, and it'll cause your carrots like shoot up in the air, and you'll just completely miss them. So just try to avoid that. There's not really much you can do. It's kind of just RNG. But yeah, if you do need the extra pogo fruits, something that you can do if you're like trying to get a really good time is just try to fling them off of the tree into the Gordo's mouth. I don't really recommend that. It's better to just grab them and then shoot them normally. But it's just another optimization that you can do if you're looking to get a better time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's move on to the getting to the gate. Alright, so this is the section from getting the key from the pink Gordo all the way to getting to the key door. This is the more basic route. This is not going to be the slime over. I'll do that in a minute. But basically, just you're going to run here, and whenever you run, you're probably going to run out of sprint around here. And then once you do that, then just run over here. You can jump over these, save a bit of time, jump over this. It's possible to get stuck here, so just try to avoid that. Just try to not take the tightest corners, because this can like just bug you out of it. And then once you get to here, obviously you can't just go around the long way, but if you want to save about a second, you can do a slime jump here, and then jump over here, and then run along there. This can be a bit tricky because this isn't fully flat ground. So whenever you do this jump, the slime will move a bit to the left. So try to just stay on it as long as possible. You can slow down and like shoot under your feet and then do this jump, but that loses a bit of time. It's still faster than going around, it's just not optimal. So you can just do this, and then once you get over here, do this jump, and then this jump. Actually, don't do that jump. Just go on the bridge. It's much easier and not risky at all. And then once you get here, obviously you can go around, but this wall climb is actually really easy and saves a couple seconds. So what I like to do is I like to aim for this little edge right here. I like to walk into that, and as soon as I hit it, I like to look up, pan pretty fast to the left. So a little bit something like this. Now I see a lot of people do this in different ways. Most popular way that I see other people do it is sprint into it and then hold W and A while looking to the right. So something like this. And that's fine if it works for you. That works, it's just fine. But I don't really see the point in that. You can just hold W and then walk into the wall. I personally find that easier. Again, just do whatever is comfortable. They're same time save. And then once you get there, just run along. I'm pretty sure it doesn't really matter how you use your energy here, as long as you get to the door as fast as possible. So you can just land and then sprint, and then refill, and then sprint. And then you'll get to the door. Alright, I'm going to move on to the slime over route for this same section. Alright, so this is the hover route for getting to the first key door. So this is probably one of the harder tricks in the game. It's, I would say, the easiest slime hover, but slime hovers are just in general pretty hard, so I'm going to spend a bit of time just to explain how to do this. Alright, so again, you're going to start around here, you won't have any energy, and then you're going to want to jump up here and then just walk straight ahead just to the left of this pogo fruit tree. And then once you do that, you're going to want to do this jump up to here, And how I like to do that, I like to hold W, jump, and then right before I hit the ground, I want to release W for just like half a second, shoot under my feet, and then jump off it. So right after you release it, shoot the slime, and then keep holding W. And then you can just jump off the slime and get up here. If you're low on slimes, then I recommend saving it, but if you have a ton, there's not really a point, so you can just let it go. If you do fall off that, just like try to shoot it under your feet again. Like that. It's not really too tight, it's a pretty small gap, so you can also just walk up and then jump like that. Same thing here. This is basically just the same movement. It's a bit taller, so you have to be a bit more, you get a bit more height here. But once you do that, you also will have a bit of sprint by the time you get here, so you can sprint a bit and then do this, but it's not important. And then once you get to here, you want to do this little slime boost. So just go over here and then aim here and then shoot. Try not to go too much into this corner. It can work, but it doesn't give you nearly as much height. If you have enough slimes, then I recommend just shooting a couple times so you can get up here like pretty consistently. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work, and I'm not really sure how to like get past that. It doesn't. I don't know. It's really weird, and I don't know how to explain how to fix that. Sorry. You also can shoot against this wall, but again, I don't find that it gives you enough height most of the time, so you usually have to shoot a couple. Alright, now for the actual slime over, the big part of this trick, you want to get to either this rock or the bridge most of the time. For the easier shot, you can just try to get to this rock, and it's quite a long distance, but once you get the first like few moves down, then it's not too difficult. That'll look something a bit like this. Okay, that was probably too short. Let me redo that. I'm trying to do it in like the least moves as possible. And then you get there. Or if you want to save a few more seconds, then all the way to the bridge. This requires a bit more knowledge of slime overs. You gotta be more comfortable to do this. But you get all the way to the bridge, don't have to do anything extra. Okay, so you could start off slime over in a couple ways. What I like to do is jump, and then about when I'm at the peak of my jump, I shoot right under myself, just like that. What I used to do, probably the second easiest way to do it, is do a full jump, and then right before I hit the ground, I want to shoot under myself. And again, you want to be like just slightly releasing W before you land on it. It's not too important, but it'll cause you to like go too far, and you gotta like slow down at some point later in the hover. And then try not to like jump immediately, because it'll just shoot the slime out sometimes. And if you go too fast on this jump, then you'll be like way too far ahead, or the slime just won't move at all. But that's probably the fastest way to do it. It's just more risky. Probably the easiest way to start it off is just look under your feet, hold W, and just shoot. And then make sure to release, because that's also important. So just do this. And try to stay on the slime as long as possible. It's not going to give you the most distance. I wouldn't really recommend that if you're having trouble with the hover, because it's not much more difficult to do this one. This will give you more height and usually more distance than just walking and shooting. So I recommend that you just do this start. Just land right before you land, just shoot under your feet, release W for a little bit, and then continue. Alright, now for the actual hovers, this part's a bit trickier to explain. It is a lot of feel, it's a lot of timing, so bear with me with this part. So what you want to do is basically whenever the slime starts to fall is whenever you want to jump. And it's not, you don't want to do a full jump. You can do a full jump, but I just like to tap it. If you do a full jump, then there's a better chance that the slime will just get too far away from you. And that's fine, but also that can happen. If you are too late, then it'll just like fling behind you, and that's just not good. But again, once it starts falling, just jump, and then you want to repeat this pattern as much as possible. So just jump as soon as you land on it, and then tap the back so that it brings up to your feet. And once you get really good at that, you can start doing it forever. Like it's really not too inconsistent once you get that feeling down, but getting it down is a bit tricky. It's really timing based, and it's kind of just based off your feel. If you want to just do the easiest trap, then it's not too hard actually. It's a bit intimidating, but just getting to this first rock doesn't take too much effort. It's mostly getting to the far bridge that's the hardest part of the trick. So if you want to just get to the first rock, what I like to do is just do the first start. And you can ride it as for pretty long actually, for both of them. So just make sure that you're on the center of the slime whenever you do your jump. This will lose you a bunch of height, it'll not give you as far, but if that's not really your goal, that works. And then you can just do that. Practice that for a while, because it's probably going to kill you quite a few times if you're starting out. I also recommend that you just try to do this movement over just some solid ground so that you don't die too much when you're starting out in your runs. And once you get that, then it's not too bad. Alright, if you do land down here, what you're going to want to do is just run across these. Be careful with this one. If you hit it in the wrong way, then you're gonna just kind of not be able to jump, and you can fall. Like you can hit a lip here, and then you'll just land in the middle of the water right now. You can just hold sprint over this, by the way. This will get you up here. You might have to like strafe a bit so you get up. But just jump over here, and then you can do a slime boost to get up here. You can do a double slime boost just to make sure that you're getting up. And also, if you're short on slime, so you only have like 3, and you're not really comfortable with doing the next slime boost that's coming up, what you can do is like just aim for this back part, and then just jump, and then start moving your mouse, and you can get up like this. And after that, just sprint to the door, open it, and then we can continue on. Hopefully that made sense. And yeah, let's go. Alright, so once you get to this key door, you want to open it. Open this door, and then immediately, don't go through it, that's slow, don't do that. What you want to do is come around here to this wall, this little corner right here, and then what you want to do is get up to the top of it. So what you can do for that is just walk into the corner, aim slightly left. I like to aim for this patch on the wall right here. Aim slightly down, aim for like the middle-ish. Not too middle, but like slightly down from the top, and then hold jump and then shoot. That's not really consistent. You don't want to try to go for the one. Just hold W and D into the wall, and then you can try to space them out if you have like low amount of slime, but if you have enough, you can just do this and then you'll get up. If it's not working, chances are you're either aiming too far to the right. This can work, it's just not as consistently giving you enough height. And then aiming too far, too close to the center will just sometimes not work at all. Just make sure that you're aiming slightly down and slightly to the left, if possible. So again, walk over the door, open it, go around, and then do that. You can get it in 1, you can get it in 2 or 3, but most of the time you'll want to have at least like 4 or 5 slimes do this, especially if you're trying to do this really fast. So something like this motion, then you'll want to have a couple slimes for backup. Now once you get up here, you'll probably have like 30-ish energy if you're sprinting directly to the door, sprinting over here, doing this. You'll probably have around 30, and this will line up pretty well with running over here and then doing this jump. Let me do that again. Running over here and doing this. This is faster than going down on the bottom. Another reason why skipping over the doors, right? So this jump can be a bit far, and you will want to have momentum from sprinting. Also, make sure you're holding the jump button. You do gain a bit more height whenever you are holding the jump button. So whenever you do this, just make sure that you're sprinting before it and you're holding. Now, if you do miss it and you have an extra slime, what you can do is just do a little slime boost into this corner. I'm also pretty sure you can get up here this way, but it's kind of tight. But also, if you aren't comfortable with the jump this far, you can come to this area and then you can just do this. You don't even have to sprint for that. That's just more safe route. But again, come over here and then jump. If you have enough energy here, don't use it to sprint. Just keep walking until you fully refill. And now for this, jump over to here, try to land on this area, and then jump over to this branch, and then you can just hold W, or you can jump, doesn't really matter. And then you're gonna land down here. Around here is where you're gonna fully regain energy. Also, something to note, there will be some boom slimes that spawn here sometimes, and if they are, and they're in the way, you can just grab them, save a bit of RNG and some time maybe. But once you land down here, you will get your full energy back, and then you want to do a jump up to this section. So this is the flower jump. You won't want to have any slimes, it won't really help you. Try to take just a wide angle for this. If you are too close to the flower, you'll just hit it and it'll knock you down. Sometimes that can help you like that, if you like ramp off of this and also don't hit your head on there. But I wouldn't really go for that. It doesn't save any time and it's just less consistent, that I find. Just try to jump whenever you hit this like little ramp right here, this tiny little bump in the grass, and just take a wide-ish angle. There. Now once you do that, also if you miss it, then that's fine. Just come down to this bush, jump up here, and then either to the right or to the left, and just start sprinting as soon as you can. Sometimes you can get stuck into this corner and you might not even be able to jump. Sometimes it's kind of weird, inconsistent when it happens, but if you do, just back up and then walk forward again. If for some reason you miss this, then there's more backups you can do over here. If you miss that one, there's this one. Shouldn't need to use those, but sometimes it happens and they're just there, so there's not really much of a reason to like turn around and then retry it. Alright, now once you get to this section, you're going to want to just sprint along, and I like to keep some extra pink slimes for any crates that spawn. You can just shoot them at there, and they can spawn mangoes, Q-berries, and money. All of them are good. Just pick up any mangoes or Q-berries that spawn, and they'll help you out later with some RNG and maybe save you some time. But once you do that, run along here. Something to mention here, you can, if you walk in the right angle, you can just fall down while continuing to sprint. I like to aim like at this kind of flower head right here. I don't really know what this is, but just aim like this while walking in a straight line, and that lines up pretty well. If you walk too far left, you'll not be able to sprint. That'll mess up your timing. And if you're too far right, this is also usually fine, but I like to just aim there. Now, you'll probably run out of sprint around here, and from here you just want to keep walking until you gain enough to get up to about 30, which would be around here, and then sprint your way over to here. Alright, so once you're into this section, you want to move any honey slimes that spawn up here down to here. Their hunger cooldown will already be fully off. And also just move any slimes close to this little tube tree thing as fast as possible. And now grab these mangoes off this tree. If enough mangoes don't spawn, or if 0 mangoes spawn, what you can do is come over to this tree where there usually will be some backups. You want to have at least 3 so that you can feed 2. And again, just try to move them as close to the tree as possible so you can just keep walking whenever you're ready. If you don't have an extra mango, there will be a few more backup trees later on. If you don't have enough honey slimes, there are also a few areas such as right over here. This area can spawn honey slimes and boom slimes you can use if you don't have enough by this point. And then here's another one of the mango trees. And then boom slimes, most of them that you get will be in this area. Hopefully enough will spawn between here and here that you won't have to worry about the rest of it. Also, there could be some honey slimes over here if you need them. Honey slimes over here if you need them. And another mango tree. More boom slimes here if you don't have enough. And then this cuberry tree. It's possible that none of these spawn. You don't get any here, you don't get any here. And at that point, you kind of just have to reset. There's not really much you can do, unfortunately. You want to get at least one. You want two, but one is fine. Any more than two is also fine. Just as long as you get one, you can keep the run going. Any less, you don't get any, then it's kind of just unlucky. Right, final place that you can get a boom slime is this area. This can spawn either a pink or a boom slime sometimes. So don't reset until you get to here, because it can have one extra. And at this point, your inventory, you want it to look a little bit like this. So one extra mango, hopefully 4 honey plorts, 3 would be fine. Hopefully 4 boom slimes, 3 would also be fine. And then at least 1 cuberry, looking for 2 hopefully. But after that, just get over to here and you'll be 4 health. Alright, so after you warp home, you'll come back to the ranch with your full inventory of everything you need. And at this point, usually you'll have at least 15 energy. And if so, you can just sprint down here. If not, you have to walk. That's a little bit slower. So try to keep at least 15 energy when going through that portal so you can just run. And then once you get to here, buy your garden right away. First thing you want to do, buy this garden and plant this mint mango. At this point, you can either throw down your plorts and slimes. What I usually like to get rid of these slimes first. If you don't move these guys out of the way, then they can create some tars and they'll pretty much just ruin the run. So what I like to do, they're far away from me, you can just take them and just fling them across the ranch. Completely gets rid of them, completely despawn. If they're close to you, you can just grab it and throw it later. Also make sure no plorts are there, because that'll also create tars. But once you do that, you can throw down your plorts and then your slimes. You don't want to wait for each slime to transform. They will do it while you sleep. It will usually cause the slimes to be like more dispersed if you wait too long. So what I like to do is I'm standing up by this thing after planting it, after throwing the slime, and then aim like around 30 degrees or so at the floor, and then shoot your honey plorts, and then aim a little bit more down. I don't know if this is too important, but I would aim a bit more down and then shoot these slimes. I find that if they're too close together, that when one transforms, then it'll throw the other slimes more consistently, so I try to avoid that if possible. And then once you do that, you can go up here, and then usually have around 50 energy at this point, and if so, you can just run straight over here, grab your pogo fruits, and then into the house. If you have more than one, I just like to get rid of the extras before entering. Now for the Starmail, usually you're just going to want to just read, sleep, read, sleep, read, sleep, or read, sleep, read, and then leave. But actually, you don't need to read anything other than this one. This one should come on day 2 as long as you enter the house before 12. If you enter after 12, then this will already be here, so just read that and sleep twice. But you don't actually have to read these by 7Z or I think it was Thora. So you can just read this day 2 and then be done with the others. So read that and then sleep, and then exit the house instantly. But for most people, you'll just want to read all of them. So read those mails, sleep to day 2. This is usually when you get the one important one that you have to read. Sleep again. And then again, you can just leave here if you want, but you can also read and then leave again. Alright, now on to day 3. This one's pretty important. I see a lot of people making some smaller mistakes throughout this point, and it's also a pretty bad RNG section. Most of it, if it's a problem with plorts, comes from the way you place them down earlier. So if you don't have enough plorts, try to change the way that you're throwing the slimes and the plorts down. But once you come out day 3, run over here, and then all these slimes and plorts will be on the ground. So you want to throw these guys away from the area and then keep at least one somewhere on the ranch. What most people are going to do is grab them and then throw them all the way over here. You don't have to throw them into this area. If you're, it's better to just throw them in whatever way you're looking, so you can just take them and throw them over here. As long as you throw them far enough, they won't be a problem. You don't have to throw them in the water. You could also like throw them over here, and that'll be fine. They won't get into it. Something if you want to save like a couple more seconds is, instead of getting it stuck back here, which is what most people would usually do, you can just take it and then throw it over here. Make sure to throw it a bit low so that it's still spawned in whenever you get to day 4. And after that, you'll hope that it'll still be here, and then you won't have to deal with getting it stuck. But for this explanation, I'm just going to get it stuck. And then, also before you get that stuck, make sure you grab your plorts. That's just bad order. Don't get that stuck before you grab your plorts. So grab your plorts, grab your Largo, and then place it in this area. After that, you'll start sailing. And this is the biggest RNG section of the run, I would say. Maybe not the biggest, but it's a pretty big reset point. What you're looking for is at least 45 or so average. You can get it done with less, but if you're looking for decent money, then that's about what you want. Here I got decent prices, they're pretty good. So I'm just gonna start selling, and then you can start backing up while you selling the second set of plorts. If you get too far, it won't like do the fast selling, so don't get too far away. And then come down here and then go to buy another garden to plant your pogo fruit. After that, try to grab a few mint mangoes. This will make another RNG section in a second a bit better. And then make sure you just get enough plorts. Sorry about that. Grab some extra plorts, and just make sure that you have enough to get to at least 2100 by this point. So I'm going to sell about 2150 is what you would want at minimum. I have more, which is good, so I'm just going to sell here. I end up with about 2756, and if you can recognize that you don't have to sell all of them to get to where you need, you can go a bit faster by not grabbing all the plorts. But for me, I just sell all of them and I have more than enough money. So I can do a few things here when it comes to these Q-berry trees. So what most common, what you're gonna want to do, you're gonna need at least 2400 money for this, is buy a Q-berry garden here, buy a Q-berry garden here. So you have 2 Q-berry gardens, both planted normally, no modifiers or anything like that. Something else that you can do, which I would be able to do here because I have enough money, you need about, I think, 2750 for this, is buy a Q-berry garden, and then buy a sprinkler for it, which would cost 500. But again, only do this if you have enough money. And this saves a little bit of time by not having to plant this or go grab it at any other time throughout the run. And if you're short on money, if you only have around 2100, if you have less than 2400 at all, or if you only were able to grab 1 Q-berry from the moss blanket, what you can do is only have 1 Q-berry garden here. And that's fine. It's really inconsistent for food, but if you're looking to keep a run going, it has a decent chance of working. Again, only do this if you really have to. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and buy both of them and then place them, because this is usually what you're going to want to do for the run. And then after that, you're going to want to enter the house and then start sleeping. I'm actually going to end this section here so I can explain the Starmail pattern. This part's actually pretty important. Alright, so after you're done with day 3, you're going to have to enter the house and then start sleeping. But it's actually pretty important to pay attention here to the Starmail that you get on day 4 and day 5, because this will affect how you will be sleeping and reading Starmail for the rest of the run. So once you go to sleep on day 4, there's a chance that you get it and there's a chance that you don't. Here I got this Starmail. So this is a good start. This is what you want to see. If you don't get a Starmail on day 4, it's still fine. You just have to do something later in the run that I will mention when we get to there. So read this one and then go to sleep again. And here I did not get a Starmail. So what happens here? If you do not get a Starmail on day 5, but you do get one on day 4, you want to exit the house, and then once you get done with buying your upgrades and grabbing your cube berries, enter the house again. The Starmail will be here for you to read. If you don't do this, you will not be able to get the best possible day cycle. You will get, I think at best, day 16, which loses a few, like 5 seconds. Also, like, something to mention is that whenever you enter this house, this resets your energy. So I can be low energy, and then whenever I reset, I'll be back to full. Not too important, but it's just something to mention. The other 2 possible cycles, you can get one on day 5 and day 4, and that's fine. That's the best one you want to get. So you can just buy your upgrades, get your cube berries, and then get your mangoes and just go on. The other one, probably the worst one to get, is no day 4, but you do get day 5. That's the other one I mentioned. You'll have to re-enter the house after you get to day 6. Or day 7, actually. So just pay attention to here. Remember what Starmail pattern you get, because that will be important later on. Alright. Alright, so after you exit the house on day 5, you've read your Starmail, you've done all the day 3 stuff, you have enough money, you're going to be over here, and then instantly, once you leave the house, you get over here and enter this menu as fast as possible. You want to get there pretty quickly so that you don't have to wait for the things to come up later. If you're late, then it'll cause you to have to wait a long time to get to them on day 7. So once you get here, you want to buy your upgrades. So what you can do is you can click on, what I like to do is I like to click jetpack, press space to buy, click dash boots, press space to buy, go down to power core, and then do the same, click space. And something that other people like to do sometimes is do it in like a reverse order. So go here to power core, space buy, space, and then go up to jetpack, and then click space to buy. And that's fine, just do whatever's comfortable for you. You can also just like buy them individually. That's also fine, just do whatever's comfortable. Alright, now once you get to here, you want to get your cube berries. If there's a slime here, try to get rid of it. You can just back it up and then be on with your day, I guess. And then, if you only have one cube berry tree and you don't have any sprinkler on it, if it has the food on the tree, what you can do is come over here to the remove crops and then press space to clear it and then replant. So drop everything that's on the tree and will allow you to get closer to your 25 or 26 goal. If you have 2 cube berries, you don't have to worry about that. Just go and grab all of them. If you have sprinkler, also there's like a 99% chance that you'll get enough. So once you do that, again, re-enter if you got the day 4 but not the day 5, and then come over to your mint mangoes. Again, same with the cuberry tree over there. If you only have one, you can remove the crops off the tree and replant if you don't have enough on the floor, and try to get to at least 25. So if you only got one cuberry tree and if you didn't have them on the tree, you probably won't have enough cuberries. So if that's the case, then you can grab enough pogo fruits to make up the difference. For every cuberry that you're missing, you will need 2 pogo fruits, so keep that in mind. If you only have 20 cuberries, you will need at least 10 pogo fruits, and so on. And after that, you're just going to want to leave. Now, if you are doing the strat where you don't have this guy locked up over here, you can instead have him over this area and just hoping that it doesn't despawn. What you want to do is just try to like coax it back this way. Try to not let it go too far out this way so that it doesn't despawn. If it's over here, just try to like slightly move it back. Don't fling it. That's not what you want to do. Just like move it back so that it doesn't so that by the time you're out of its like loaded in range, it doesn't move anymore towards the exit. Right, so you'll probably get back to full energy about here, and at that point you'll want to sprint, and then look for any carrots you can grab. There could be some on the ground just chilling here. In that case, you can just go and fling them up. You also can just like do this, and it takes a bit more like staying on it, but it's not too bad. If you don't get any, look for this carrot patch. If there's not any there either, look for this one. If there's none anywhere from the ones you checked, then this last carrot patch, you run over to this way, and then look over here. Other than that, just run down here, and then look for any rock slimes. There can spawn one up here, and you can just grab that and run. But what I've liked to do recently is just try to shoot them while I'm running by. So what I do is I come over here, I shoot them, and then I like move them in this direction so I can grab it on the way here. This removes some like slight RNG of having the rock slime not eat the thing that it needs to, and that's not good. So you just want to do that to eliminate that possibility. Or you can just again grab your rock slime, and then come over here, and jump down, and then shoot him anywhere really, but most people do this corner. I find that carrot first, it makes it slightly more consistent, but I'm not really sure if that's the case. But anyway, start feeding your Gordo. Feed it Q berries. It needs 25 Q berries. Again, if you don't have enough, you will need at least 2 pogo fruits to make up every lost Q berry. And then just make sure to grab the key and feed these guys. What you can do is while you're waiting for them to spawn, or to eat, you can go ahead and grab here, and then come back. And then what you want to do is grab a few phosphor slimes. You don't need too many to do this. And then come over to this corner right here, and then do another slime juice. You can spam here, that's fine. Try not to use your jetpack too much. Don't do it if you have to at all. Something else you can do is just do a slime jump, and then bring it to your feet, and that'll allow you to just jump up here. Alright, so this is another route split, so I'm going to go ahead and explain what you would want to do if you are not doing the hover to the honey slime. So here, you want to get rid of your phosphor slimes, you don't need them at all anymore. And then go down here and look for any possible tabby plorts. There's no tabby plorts or just slimes. Try to grab at least a couple, or you only need one, but try to grab at least a couple. Pay attention to if they're smiling like this. If they're smiling like this, that means they are fully fed. They will not eat anymore for a while. So just don't grab these. They will not be able to give you another plort. So once you make sure that your slimes are not fully fed, you can come on this way, and then do this wall climb again, and then come over here. Something that I like to do for this section is just keep walking along until they have about 100 energy. This isn't too important, it's just something that I like to do for a energy lineup. What this does is it gets you to below 15 energy when you get it to about this point. And then what you do is come up here. This section can be pretty weird with jetpack. If you play it safe, you just walk along here. This will kind of like push you up sometimes. So just like walk around here and then hold S, or D I mean, and then it'll get you up here. But if you don't have to worry about jetpack, you can just jump up, and don't try not to use your jetpack there. Alright, now once you get to this section, you can do a couple things here. You can either run across this to get over here, and then just walk along here to get over. Or if you have your energy recharged, you can jump over here and then try to just fly around to here. Okay, now if you have your tabby plort by this point, you can just run straight to the door, open it, then you're good. If you don't, you're going to want to throw your slime like this. Pay attention to the momentum. While you're falling, it will like try to throw your slimes down to the ground, so if you try to do that, it'll just fling you down. You can wait a bit to like negate that. Just wait until you're down here, and then throw them like this, and then pick up any slimes that spawn here, or I mean chickens that spawn here. Then once you grab those, you can come over here, open the gate, and then feed your guy. Alright. After that, you should have your rock plort, your 2 phosphor plorts, and your tabby plort. Alright, now once you get into here, wait until you have full energy. Once you do that, I'm going to give myself a tabby plort real quick. Once you have full energy, run along here. I like to wait a bit before I do the jump. You can do this full jump, but sometimes you can miss it, or you can start to activate your jetpack, which you just want to avoid if possible. So what you can do is you can wait till you're down here to jump, and you can just make that, it's pretty clean. And then run along here, and then shoot this. Try to shoot a bit to the left of the mouth. If you're too close, it can like bounce off. This one's pretty easy to deal with, but just try to not shoot too close, or it can just bounce off when it shouldn't. And you can either shoot that and then run this way, or you can shoot it and then run along like this. But anyway, after that, once you go down here, go to the right, over to here. You can go around this tree, or you can like use this slope to get up here. And then you want to shoot your phosphor plort, and then your rock plort. This one you can do from pretty far away, but if you're not comfortable, you can just get as close as you want and then just shoot that. Alright, now once you have all of these, make sure they actually land, because if you don't, then the run is pretty much dead. So once you have all that, run over here, jump up here, and then go along to this part. So if you did feed a tabby slime, I find it pretty good to pick this up here. And what you're probably going to do is run out of energy around this point. So if you don't have any energy, or even if you have like 16 or so, like a low amount, just don't sprint until you're full. And now once you're walking along here, try to pick up a couple slimes. This will be used for a slime boost later, and you'll probably fill up your energy again to 150 around this point. Once you get to here, you can just hold sprint and walk in a straight line. You can go under this little tree root, and then you'll see it lines up pretty well with getting to this slime boost. And you can do it here, and it's kind of hard to do it there, to be honest. It's a little inconsistent, so I like to jump on this rock and then do this. You barely have to gain any height off the boost, and you can just either get all the way up or just get here and then jump. Also, if you don't have any slimes, or you just aren't comfortable with the boost, then you can just do this hover, or this jetpack to get up here. If you don't have enough mint mangoes at this point, there will be some that spawn up here most of the time, so you can grab those. There's some pogo fruits that might spawn here, but just feed this guy. It's 25 mint mangoes, or the equivalent in other backups. Fling these slimes away, grab the key, and then emergency return. You can press the spacebar to press the OK button on the emergency return. After you press it, it saves a little bit from like flicking and holding. But at that point, that's pretty much all you need to do for this section of the run. Now I'm going to get on to the honey hover route. Alright, so once you pop the Phosphor Gordo and you're looking to do a hover to the honey Gordo, take about 15 seconds or so. What you want to do if you're looking for the easier version with the crate hover is whenever you grab your plorts, whenever you grab your key, save a crate from this Phosphor Gordo. And then once you get over here, this part can be a bit tricky. What you want to do is just throw this thing and then quickly get up here and then catch it as it's falling. Sometimes if you aim it improperly, it can go too far, like this. That might be too far. Yeah, hits the wall and it's just kind of bad. Or if you don't aim it far enough, it can just fall straight down. So try to practice getting it at a decent angle. Don't look straight up. look like 15 or so degrees down from here and aim like around this area. Just come out, back up a bit, and then shoot like there. Then once you get up here, you can catch it. And it's kind of hard to explain how to do that. It's just kind of a feel thing. What you also could do is, if you want to be safe, just come around here and then do this, which is not too much slower because you have to wait for the crate to fall anyway. Just something to think about. But once you have that, run along here, and don't try to drop your crate for something if you see like a tabby plort. Just try to ignore it. Like, you'll get it later with this route, so just don't try to drop it and then do that. So once you get over to this bridge area, you're gonna want to drop your crate straight out like this, and then back up a bit. Don't try to like walk into it as you're dropping it. That'll just cause you to knock it over like that. So just drop it and then jump on top like this. You can also just jump and then place it over there, but that's a bit slower to set up. Maybe a bit safer if you're looking for that though. But anyway, just drop it like this. And make sure that you're not too close to this rock, because this will mess you up if you're not careful. And your goal is to get to this little ledge up here. Now this is definitely harder than the bridge skip slime hover that you did from here to here, in my opinion. But the reason that you want to use a crate is because the hitbox is a lot more consistent than a slime. It'll move around a lot less and is generally easier, but the distance is way farther. You have to actually gain height. You can't just like rely on it falling. So this is definitely a harder trick, and probably should be done after you like master the slime hover to the bridge. But anyway, once you get up here, this one you're gonna actually have to do a flick once you start it off. So you're gonna have to do something like this. Now this is just like the other trick. The first sort of flick part is probably the most important, because once you do that, the movement is mostly the same as the first slime hover. So you don't want to go too fast, because you'll just send it flying. If you go too slow, then you'll have to try to stay on the center for so long, and it'll just be slow in general. So try to find a good balance between speed and consistency. That was a bit too fast. And once you do that, then it's not too hard. I haven't really practiced crate hovers in a while. So once you get that, again, it's pretty much the same thing as a slime hover. But one thing you don't want to do is be jumping the way you did with the previous one. You don't have to worry about this the slime like having weird movements as much when you're doing crate hovers, because again, the hitbox is more consistent. But yeah, just don't jump, because that has a higher chance of activating your jetpack. If you are really good at like timing your jumps, then it's still fine. It's probably more consistent, but not really. So just try to stay on top of it without jumping unless you have to. Just like that. Now you do have your jetpack for this, so it can be easier to save if you're like losing under your feet. You can do some weird save. I'll try to do that, but it's kind of hard to just pull out. Like if it gets too far under you, you can like do something like this and then catch it again. Or if you're like really low, whenever you get to the area that you have to get really high, you can do something like this. And that's not optimal. You want to save your jetpack as much as possible with this area for a little time save that you can do in a second. Okay, other than the crate hover, there is a different way to do that, which uses just a regular slime hover, and it saves a little bit of time. It's about 3 or so seconds. So where am I going? Where is Phosphor? Okay, I'm just not going to do that. Okay. So whenever you get to this area, after you do your slime boost, again, you don't have to worry about the crates. You don't have to grab it. You don't have to like throw it and do this part. So once you get up here, you'll do your Phosphor Slimes, your hover, And then you really don't want to use Phosphor Slimes for this, so just get rid of these. These guys can start flying away from you, they can start moving under your feet a ton, and it's just really hard to manage, so just don't use Phosphor Slimes. So run down here, and there will be some tabby slimes, some peak slimes that you can use. Optimally, you want to grab a few tabbies so that you don't have to grab them at a later time. But pink slimes work, tabby slimes work. Just try not to get a rock slime because that'll probably kill you. Alright, but basically the setup is mostly the same as the other slime hover, and the trick is still the same as the crate hover. So you get to that ledge, and this is definitely more difficult than the crate hover, but again, saves more time. So you want to do your setup like this. And part of the difficulty of this strat over the crate hover is that you do have to do the jumping to be more consistent on the slime while also managing your jetpack. And sometimes having jetpack just will completely ruin you. Like if you, again, I landed here with like less than optimal energy, so I will be losing a second or two there. But sometimes having your jetpack will just completely kill the run, and it's kind of hard to manage. So just try to practice not activating your jetpack until you're on the slime. Like, because you can buffer for the other trick, but you don't want to be buffering for here, because this will just activate your jetpack everywhere, and that's just not good. But once you get over here to do the slime hover, again, just practice the movement of trying to stay on the center of it and jump whenever it starts falling. And if you have at least around 90 or so energy, you can do something here to save a bit of time. What you want to do is jump and then start hovering just directly to this honey Largo, or Gordo, I mean. If you don't have enough, you will have to drop down and then pick up this slime to do this boost, which isn't much slower if you aren't feeding it, but what you can do is instantly start feeding it as you start to fly over, and this will save you a few seconds. So that when you land, it's already basically halfway done and it'll just pop really quickly. You do have to be a little bit careful to make sure that you aren't missing your food. Also, try not to tap too much here, because it'll mess up your momentum with the food. And also pay attention that you don't start tapping whenever you're close to 25 energy. So if you are pretty low, don't start tapping, because this will usually just make you run out of energy before you get there. Alright. Okay, 1 second. Alright, once you pop this pink Gordo, or I mean honey Gordo, you grab this key and then run along. Wait till you have full energy. Sometimes you'll have to wait a bit to gain it, especially if you did the flying strat. So you'll get it usually around this area, and then just sprint off. Look for any honey, or chickens, I mean. There's not going to be this many Largos here, usually. But if you can grab a chicken, try to do that now. And if you were able to use tabby slime for the hover, you can keep that. If you can, make sure it's not fully fed again. But keep running along here. There can be a chicken here. There can be chickens here, over here, here. Same with tabby slimes. And this will save you like a second or so. It's pretty new strat. You can grab this yarn ball for a trick in a second. So something you might want to do if you don't have any tabby slimes yet, once you pick this up, immediately just throw it away and then try to check this area for a spawn. If there's chickens over here, you can try to like coax them into your inventory. But pretty much just run over here, shoot it at that wall. Try not to shoot it like directly over there, because it can like go too far away. But pick up your chicken, pick up your slime, and run over here. So you'll probably be out of energy by this point, and just walk over here until you have around 80 to 90 energy for this trick. So what you want to do is just walk along this wall like this, and once you get to a pretty high point, you want to do a full jump and then release the ball directly under your feet, and then hold jump after that. So it looks something like this. So once you do that, you are up there cleanly. Try not to use too much energy so you will be able to sprint. If you don't have any chickens, you can grab some backups from here. I'll run over here, shoot the tabby slime, open the door, wait a second for it to get off its cooldown, and then do this. Alright, once you get into here, you don't have to have full energy for this section. Just get to about 100 by this point, and then do the same sort of routing. Let's come over here, shoot your tabby, a little bit away from the mouth, go down here. If you have 2 phosphor ports, what you can try to do is like a faster shot like this. It's a bit risky. I wouldn't really go for it unless you have like a few to spare. But basically come over here, shoot your phosphor plort, shoot your rock plort. You want to be sprinting this whole time, by the way. And then once this, you shoot this, come over to this door where you're going to open it and then instantly emergency return. This saves a little bit of time because you'll have to go through this door at some point and it'll already be open by the time you get there, which is a little bit of a time save. But again, once you open it, emergency return as soon as possible and you're on to the next part of the run. Alright, so after you do that section and you emergency return on day 5, either after opening the key door or by grabbing the Honey Gordo's key, you'll be here on day 6, and if you want to do the faster strat that's slightly less consistent with food, you can go ahead and enter the house right away. And depending on whether or not you got both day 4 and day 5, it doesn't matter if you have to re-enter on day 5, if you got both of them, then you won't have any Starmail here, but if you did not get the day 4, you will have to read a Starmail right now. I got both, so I'm going to go ahead and sleep, and I'll get one to pop up here. And then read it, and then leave. And then after that, come over here to buy Tank Booster and Power Core if you can. Again, you can just click and press the spacebar. Move over here to Q-Berries. If you did only plant 1 Q-Berry because of money, or if you got the sprinkler, it's usually better to come out and pick them up before entering the house. That would look something like, just as soon as this happens, come over here, pick them up, and then re-enter to sleep. But here, since I had all that, you can come over here. Again, once they're on the tree, you can go ahead and remove crops just like that, and then pick up and try to get as close to 40 as possible. So if you had to read a mail on day 6 before sleeping, you will have to re-enter here, and there will be a mail here. If you don't read that, it'll mess up your day cycles or later. And then come over here. This guy moved away, it's kind of annoying, but if you got it stuck back here, you're going to want to grab him. Sometimes it can be like glitching through this little gate. If that's happening, you can just walk up and then back it, but because it's a bit farther back, you have to jump around and then grab it from here. And then just throw it in this direction. Try not to hit it off of this wall, or it can go in some weird ways. Same thing for these trees as the Q-Berries. You can come up here. If they have them on the tree, you can go ahead and remove crops. And then pick everything up as much as you can. Same for Pogos. And try to get as close to 106 as possible. Now, this is not great right here. I have quite a bit short on mangoes. I have, what, 8 less than I would want, optimally. And there's no way to get mangoes from this point on for the rest of the run, so this is not very good. If you have less pogo fruits or even less Q-Berries than optimal, that's fine, because there are backups. But mangoes, there's really no way to get them. So what you might want to do is actually do something a little bit safer. And if you're just trying to be more consistent with the food, what you can do is right after emergency returning to day 6, you can go ahead and come over here to pick up some mangoes early. You also can pick up these pogo fruits, but it's not as important because they usually drop more than the mangoes. But you can pick these up, come over here, and then into the house. You don't have to grab these Q-Berries unless you only have 1 planted. That's just because 2 Q-Berries will usually, most of the time, give you 40. If you only have 1, it's better to just grab them now. And then sleep. Read the mail if you have to, get the stuff, and then do everything the same as usual. Alright, so after you grab all of your fruit, all your Q-berries, mangoes, and pogo fruits, and you're over here with your Largo in the position, try not to sprint here until you have 150 energy. Let's get this guy over here. If you have less than that, it might line up pretty poorly for the next trick. But if you have 150 energy, you can go and start sprinting here, grab the Largo, and try to line up with this flat area of the wall right next to this little post to the left of it. And what you're going to do is a Largo boost. So it's going to look a little bit like this. To do this, you want to look down at like maybe around 30-degree angle. And then right as you go into the wall, you can see the Largo like won't allow you to push into the wall too much. And whenever you can like sort of feel that you're getting pushed back by that, you want to drop it and then completely release any other keys, just like that. So run into the wall and drop without pressing anything, and you'll see that the Largo will fly up with you on top of it. This will give you a bunch of height. That was a bit too early. And then if you do that correctly, it'll just push you to the top of the wall. If you don't look down enough, it might not give you any height. If you just do this, that still works, but it's pretty lenient. Even that'll work. Just don't look down too much, mostly. Even that mostly will work, but sometimes just gotta be careful about the angle. I do see some people trying to spam jump up the boost, but I don't really like to do this. It'll work. Just try not to do it too much, as you can use your jetpack a bunch, and that's just not really optimal. Just like that. But pretty much once you get up here, you want to grab the Largo, and if you lined it up well with the other area when having 150 sprint, you should have about 120 energy here. And once you have that, you can go in and sprint over here, do this jump, try not to activate your jetpack. You can do this pretty easily if you just hold jump. Not for too long, so you don't activate it, of course. But especially with the momentum, it's pretty easy to just make this appear. And then this will depend on what strat you want to do. There's a faster way to do this, and then there's an easier way to do this. For the easier way, you want to have at least around the 60 sprint. And then once you get to this edge, you want to fly over here to this tree. If you land too low down on the tree, it can just like kind of push you off. I'll try to show that here. If you land right here, it might be hard to get up. It'll just shut you down. But I like to try to aim a bit towards the right of this so I can land back here and then go around. Again, try not to go in the front. Then jump over here, and then this area can be a bit weird trying to get up here. Just try to like hold jump into this corner and then press S and D to get on top here. Be careful with looking around with the Largo because it can push you off of it pretty easily, so maybe try to look up a little bit when you do this. And then get into this position. So for here, I like to jump into this little corner. You can see this kind of ledge right here. So you take the Largo and you just kind of jump right here. And you can do this with 150 sprint. You can just hold the jetpack down the whole way. Like this. And it'll work, but it's not optimal. You'll land pretty much perfectly every time. But if you want to save a bit of energy, you can just tap it like this. To get over here with a little bit more. And to save the most energy and to do it fast as possible, you can even start without much energy. Like, I'll try to show it here. You can do it really fast, not even having to wait for your energy to show up. You do this and try to hug the left side of this wall, walking on the rocks. And you can not use your energy till the very end and wait for it to build up as much as possible. So that'll get you over here pretty perfectly. But if you want to do the faster strat, it saves about 1 to 2 seconds, I believe. You want to wait until you have about 70 energy here. Once you have 70, you can aim for this rock, and then do a jump over here, and then ride along the rocks until you get into this area. So there's two ways to do this. The way I like to do it is to run, and then once I get to this rock, jump into this ledge, to try to gain a little bit of height to get over a little invisible barrier. I'll try to show what it's like to hit that real quick. Wait for 70. Yeah, if you don't gain too much height, you can just jump into this and you'll get completely stuck. You have to back out and then do the normal route. But if you want to do a different route, if you don't get enough height off of here, usually what you can do is do this, where you land on the rock, angle a little bit left, and then full jump into here. I'm not very good at this route, I don't do it usually, but I know Wickboy does, and he gets it pretty consistently. So again, a little bit like this. And you aim to get a bit of height. I'll try to get it here, I'm just not very good at it. Just kind of land there and do a full jump pretty late into the block here. And that'll give you a little bit of a push up where you can cleanly make it over, just like that. So a little something you want to be careful about is to try not to use your jetpack during this jump here. If you have too much, then you can accidentally do something like this. And if you use that, then you might not have enough energy to get over here in time. You might have to burn it really early and you could just fall. But once you get over here using either method, what you want to do is throw your Largo down here. You can do this a bit later, it's not too important to throw it early, but if you do throw it early, you can grab any pogo fruits that you need over on this tree. If you have high energy, you can just go ahead and run over here. If you have low energy, I recommend just walking. There's a lot of slimes here, but grab any carrots that you can. Odd onions will also work. And then continue this way and grab your Largo. Again, if you have low energy, just keep walking until you have about 80. If you have high energy, you can just keep running. And for this trick, you're going to do another Largo boost. This one's a bit harder. The wall is slightly less flat and it's a bit taller. If you want to save just a little bit of time, you can go directly into this corner and do it here. But I would recommend coming around to this area and just trying to do it on a flatter surface. For this one, if you don't get enough height, you can do a jump once you hit the top of it, but again, I don't recommend spamming jump to get up there. So again, do this jump, and if you get enough height, it's perfect, but if not, you can jump off and then turn back to grab it. Alright, so after you do this Largo boost, you're going to be over here when you're entering this Rad Slime area. And try to aim to have a pretty high amount of energy here, at least like 80 or so. Being at full works, just try not to be too low so you don't have to walk too much to get into here. Even 40 will work if you try to rely on some good RNG with the Rad Slime spawns. So here I got a pretty good Rad Slime spawn. But once you get into this area, you want to throw your guy right over here. And be careful with this so they can bounce off and just kind of fall over here. So try to angle it pretty much near this crystal, a bit to the right of it, so it kind of stays in that area. Just like that. And just try to hope that it doesn't run off. Something that also can happen is you aim too far to the right and it'll go into this area over here. And it can actually fall down into the over here if you aren't careful. It's a bit unlucky, you'll just have to go down and it'll lose a bunch of time. So anyway, once you get over here, throw your slime, you want to look for any Rad Slimes that spawn around here. So once you get into this area, there can already be some here. This is pretty much exactly what you want. But there also can be some that spawn here as you walk in, and then some here around this area. Something you might be tempted to do is to, if you don't have any slimes in this area, run around here. But I find this actually kind of kills your chances a little bit because you don't hit this spawner. Let me try to show it. Show slime spawners. Yes, there's this slime spawner right here. And if you run around it, you actually won't activate it properly. Or if you do activate it, it'll be too far ahead to go back and grab it. So just try to be careful about that. So I like to go around this rock, even though I could cut it here to save a bit of running. So you go around here, and another spawner right here that you can pay attention to. But you just pretty much looking for anywhere that spawns Rad Slimes. You can get really unlucky. You can get none here, none here, none here, and none here. And you might have to come over to this area to look for more. And if there aren't any here, over here, and it can get really bad with RNG. Just try to get lucky. I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty bad sometimes. But feed your Rad Slime. Here, let me try to reload that so I can get actual Plort. And then once you get into this area, again, throw that. Here's Rad Slime here. I like to throw it down to this area so their hitbox is activated before the slime that spawned over there to grab my Plort. Alright, now once you have this, there's a couple ways of getting up to this wall. I do see some people using a Largo boost into this corner, and that works, but I like to aim a bit more right into the actual, like, intersection of this wall. And I find that that gives me more height, and I bounce off of it less often. Because you see, you can't actually fully walk up to this wall, so you do have to, like, jump in a weird way, so sometimes it just doesn't work. So I try to minimize that by doing it in the corner. If you aren't comfortable with Largo boost very much, you can jump up this gemstone structure just like this. And it'll probably take a bit of energy to get up here, but that's fine. You can't be too direct because the slime will just push you off. Again, the hitbox will activate with the gemstone, so you can't really jump up here like this. You have to be at an angle. But anyway, once you get up here, you can just wait until you have enough energy and jump over and get over there. Or if you're waiting on your energy, I think I paused time. No. I didn't, okay. If you're waiting on your energy and you want to save a bit, you can do a bit of a hover here. I don't really recommend this because it can explode and just fall in the water. Like that. Oh, I lost him. But yeah, just try to wait till you have energy and then jump over here. Alright, so after you get your Rad Plort and you're in this area, you'll probably have pretty low energy here. So I'm going to go down to about 30 or so. This is usually around what I have. You can start sprinting right away here because you won't have enough time to fully regain your energy, so it's fine to just use whatever you have. And what you can do is throw your Largo and try to get it to bounce into this little cave area, and then grab any pogo fruits you see on this tree that you don't have. I have full, so I can just ignore it. But if there are pogo fruits, you can just grab those if you need them. And run into this area. This will depend on whether or not you have done the crate hover to the honey Gordo, or the slime hover to the honey Gordo. This door may or may not be open. If it is open, then you can just try to run through. I like to have about 50 energy by this point, and it lines up really well with getting to the statue. But if not, you just try to line up to here with about 0 energy, just as low as possible. But pretty much once you get to here, I like to throw the slime over here so that it activates early and it's able to eat pretty soon. Because if you drop it and then shoot your slime, or your Plort, it might not be able to eat in time. So come over here, throw it into this little corner right here. It'll bounce around. It's usually fine. And then shoot the Rad Plort. Try to aim a little bit higher than you might expect. Like, that'll work. If you aim too low, it'll just kind of bounce off and not work properly. But right after shooting this, you want to feed your guy. If you have enough food, I like to feed it mint mango so it drops more Plorts. But you can feed it anything. I'll feed it a pogo fruit here. Just like that. And then once you feed it, you want to run over here. You want to grab it and then come into this section. If you wait for it to eat while over there, you'll have to go back and forth with the Plorts and it'll just take a bunch of time. So grab it once you feed it and then come into this area where it will drop its Plorts, and you want to throw it to prepare for the gate skip. So just like that. And then grab your honey Plort first, throw it into this statue, grab your boom Plort, and you can either go around and shoot it here, or you can grab it, come over here, and then shoot it here. and start your gate skip. So something to note, you do have to actually activate the gate in order for the barrier to fall and for the credits requirement to be completed. If you aren't careful and you try to go like over here and do it, this won't actually activate it. Same with over here. If you try to be over here and do it right here, it won't actually activate it, and that'll mess up the whole trick, because the barrier will still be there. So for gate skip, this is definitely the hardest Largo boost in the run. There's 3 ways that I like to recommend to people. The easiest is probably the right side over here. So what you would probably want to do after shooting your slime, just try to throw it in here. Try not to let it hit off of anything, of course. But once you shoot your boom splort, run over here to activate it, and then come over here to grab your Largo. And then this is the easiest because the wall is very flat and it's pretty short. You don't have to get up there too much. And you can either do like a tiny Largo boost here to get onto the slip, or you can just run like this to stay on it, and then jump, do just a normal Largo boost, and then usually you can just fly up the rest of the way. That's completely fine. Or you can try to chain a Largo boost like this, jump off, and then grab it, and then do another. Something else you can do with this one is do a Largo boost, fly to this tree, and then fly the rest of the way. I don't really recommend this, only if you get like a ton of height with this boost, and you can just jump over here and like move up like this. I would really recommend it. So yeah, that's probably the easiest one, and once you get over here, just run over here this way to get up. The second easiest and second fastest would you want to get to the left side, activate the gate, get onto the slip like this, and then aim into this wall. This is a bit easier because this geometry is a bit messed up and it's a bit higher. So what you can do on this wall, do a chain Largo boost, or not, just get a bunch of height and then jetpack up, and then do another small one here to get over. So for the fastest and hardest, just do it like this. This one's a bit harder too because you have to start here and then move forward with it, which can be a bit difficult. And again, this is not completely flat geometry, so you can sometimes do something like this, where it'll bounce away like that. So just try to stay as left as possible without going too far into this wall, and it'll look a little bit something like this. And then you get over really fast. So you can actually save this Largo for a Largo boost later. You don't actually have to, but if you do, and if you can get it pretty fast, it's pretty recommended to just grab the Largo. And then once you get over here, you'll probably have really low energy from using your jetpack to get over the wall. So you probably won't want to sprint. You probably won't be able to sprint until you get over here. So activate this button, throw your Largo down here, and then if you need any backups, there's a tree up here. Sometimes it'll be on the ground. There also can be a phase lemon tree over here if you have to. But grab your slime, and then go around like this. You can try to take this really fast like that, or you can be a bit slow because it can just fall down here if you aren't careful. And then come into this section where you're going to do the last Largo boost of the run. So this one, the lineup is kind of weird. The wall is a lot less flat than it would look, but I like to line up with this like taller brick and just do it like this. Sometimes you have to jetpack over, that's completely fine. You also can do it in the corner here. That'll work, but I don't really recommend it. It can mess up more often. And anywhere else really, but just again, the wall is not as flat as it looks. Something else you can do is if you don't grab the Largo after doing the gate skip, is grab any slime in this area and get over the same way to this area. And you can do a bit of a hover off of this thing right here. So you would just jump into this here and do that. I used a bunch of energy there. Try not to use as much as possible. And just do something like this. can be a bit hard. Also, you can grab more slimes and do a little slime boost to get up. Yeah, but I would honestly just recommend grabbing the Largo and doing this unless you are looking to save a bunch of time, and grabbing the Largo is going to waste a bunch of time getting over the gate. Alright, so after you get on this wall, after either doing the Largo boost or a little slime hover / slime boost, you'll get into this area. You'll usually have pretty low energy, so probably not even enough to sprint. You'll probably just be completely out by this point. So you want to run along this wall. You can angle this pretty far until you get over here. It extends out quite a bit farther than you might think, and you also can just make that, but just land over here and then walk until you have about 120 or so. It's not too tight. You can wait until you have 150, of course, but you probably will need a bit of energy to do a bit faster tricks over here. So once you get over here and you have a high enough amount of energy, you can do this jump and then do this jump. You don't need to use your energy, of course, here. You can just make this, but it's just faster to run than to do here. You can do this jump as well, but if you do it pretty tightly and you try to cut this corner as much as possible, you can't just run off here and then land. And jumping is just usually easier. And you can do this jump. This one's a bit weird. It usually causes me to use my jetpack. I'm not sure why, because it's not really a hard jump. I guess I'm just holding too long, so try to be careful with that if you have low energy for some reason. And once you get over here, if you're low on Q berries, you can go and grab these off the tree if they're here. There might also be on the ground. So you can just jump up here, grab these on the ground if they're out there, and then phase lemons if you need them. So for here, you can either just run down and then go up these stairs like this, but you can also just jump off of here and then use a little bit of jetpack to get to this button. Try to be careful when you're pressing this button. If you try to go too fast, you might not press it. It's not too hard to hit it, but there I just completely miss it. So just make sure that you actually press it before falling down, because if you don't, then you have to like go all the way back up to press it just to fall down again. And also, once you press it, if you want to save a very small amount of time, you can go really far out to start to feed the slime faster, kind of like this. It's not really worth it. It's much easier to just fall down and shoot, but it saves a little bit of time. So when you're feeding this guy, try to get rid of the mangoes first. This is because there will be no more backup mangoes, so there's no reason to try to fill up on them later on. And it'll open up your inventory slots for 2 extra plorts and slimes that you'll be using later on. And once you pop it, if you don't have enough food, these crates can be really useful. So you would want to grab them, throw them into this guy to break them, and get rid of any slime so they don't cause any largos or eat any food on the ground. And just from breaking crates, I got 3 plorts completely for free. This can pretty easily make up any food that you don't have by this point in the run, and then just grab the rest through feeding them. And you should have 5 and few quantum slimes to do some later tricks. So once you get here, you can either just jump up and go around like this, but to save a bit of time, you can do a small slime jump here to get around and go a little bit faster. It can be a bit hard to get height because of how slanted it is, but also using jetpack is not a big deal. You can get up just like that, and then run along this wall. Be a bit careful, it's not too thick, you can fall off pretty easily, so just try to angle into the wall so you don't fall. And then jump like don't hold against a wall too much, you might hit your head here, or just do it really late and use your jetpack, that's also fine. Again, it's not too important to keep your jetpack here. You also can do it early and just like jump around like this, that's probably the fastest, but it, again, can be a bit risky. Now, once you get into this area, there will be 2 more trees, and this is basically the rest that you're going to get for the rest of the run. So if you don't have enough here, say you have 22 and 25, so you need an extra 3, and these aren't here, you can hover over to this area and go up to this tree. This is pretty much the last section that you're going to hope for food. If there's none here, you can hope for a crate next to the Dervish Gordo, but after that, that's completely it. So look here, look up here. If not, you just got to keep going. So, also, if you have enough food, you can do this little boost here. I don't really recommend it. It doesn't save much time, and it can just cause you to fall and kill a run. So just jump over here, and then over here. Try to line up your energy with this jump, by the way. Usually you'll have around 40 or so energy by this point. So I like to run over here until I have less than 25 and then start jumping up this, because you move a little bit faster when you're just jumping up slopes rather than walking up them. And if you don't have more than 25, you won't have to worry about activating your jetpack on these. And then you can get up here and just jump over. And then open the key door fast as possible. Alright, so after you open this gate, you're going to be led into this teleporter room that will lead you to the glass desert. And filling the portal isn't too important on how fast you do it, but there definitely is faster ways that can just speed up your time a little bit. So if you want to be really fast and fill it in pretty much as quick as possible, do something a little bit like this. You're going to run over here, move a bit to the right or left depending on which way you want to fill it, either right to left or left to right. I like to fill it left to right. So I run over here, run a bit left until I can see the mouth of this Plort statue. And I come over here, line it up, shoot there, there. Again, it's really risky, so missing it is pretty common. But if you land everything properly, it's really fast and it'll save a few seconds. Yeah, if you want to be a bit safer, I would recommend doing this, where you just run into the middle. And once you get to about this blue area, you can start shooting these one by one. And if you do them pretty fast, it doesn't lose much time, and you can pretty much keep full energy. I also do see some people do something like this, where they run up to each individual statue and fill them in one by one by just running directly by them. It's probably the easiest, but it's also definitely the slowest. Just like that. That uses a bunch of energy, but that's not really a big deal because of how the glass edges lay out. Also, something you want to be careful of for this section is running over these while you're shooting. It can mess it up, so if you shoot this and you're trying to shoot this early, while you're stepping over this, it can cause the thing to be shot up. Try to get that to happen. It's pretty random, but when it happens, it definitely messes up like that. So, also, you want to enter the desert really fast. You don't have to wait for it to like visually start lighting up. You can fill it in and then wait about a second and a half or so after the high-pitched sound. So that's the high-pitched sound I was talking about. Wait about a second and a half and then enter it right away. You can enter before it just starts doing the glowing effect, but it's not too much of a time save. It's just something you can do. If you go too early, you do have to walk out and then go back in, so just try not to be too early and then you should be fine. Alright, now once you get into the glass desert, you don't have to wait until you have full energy because the way it lines up, unless you have 200 energy, and then you can wait fully and then it'll line up really well. But sprint this way and just keep running until you run out. If you do have full energy, you can do this pattern. So around here, try to be smooth when you walk off of this, Don't walk off too much, you will fall, run off the ground. You can do this to stay on it, and then for this one right here, if you walk into this corner, you'll get stuck. If you try to be more to the right, it'll just let you walk directly on it. But it doesn't really matter because you can just run over here as soon as you refill your energy to get to this slime boost. So you can do this and use as much slime as you want. For most people, it'll be just fine. You won't really need these slimes later. But if you're trying to save a bit of slimes for a later trick that I don't really recommend to most people, you can do this by spacing out your slimes a bunch. And you can, if you do it really well, get up in only a few slimes. That was pretty bad. I'll try to redo that. This is definitely harder because of how the angle changes. So you can like ride them up as they go up and use only a few slimes. So I start with 6, or I start with 7. If I do it well enough, I can get up with only 3, and then start feeding this guy. Once you get up here, try not to shoot these without being careful, because they can definitely bounce off. This ring around the Dervish Gordo can mess up your food shots. So either wait until you're fully around to the front of it, or try to like angle yours towards the front of it. That's too far. I like to let the momentum kind of carry it like this. That's really bad explanation. Just like this as I'm walking around. I don't recommend that because you'll most likely just miss your food. But as long as you're in the front and you're standing a little bit away and aim a bit high, it should not matter. The ring's hitbox, you should just be able to feed it. And once you do, it'll pop. And for the grabbing this key, it's a bit harder than the other slimes. I think the reason for that is because this Gordo actually drops 3 crates instead of 2 like most. And sometimes when the key is in the ground and the crates are in your way, it'll take a bunch of time to move them out so you can grab it. So whenever it explodes, I like to stand a bit back and then completely throw these up so I can move on very cleanly without having to deal with them too much. Alright, so after popping the Dervish Gordo and grabbing the key, you just want to run straight along here, down this rock, over this bridge, and into the section. You could ignore any slimes, you don't really need any for the rest of the run. I like to keep at least 1 by this point, just in case you get some bad RNG. And when you get to this door, if you can't sprint up it, try to jump up it, but you should have enough energy to just run up and then open it. So wait for the door to open, jump through. You should gain your sprint around by this point, and then start sprinting fully. When these feral spawn, grab 1 and then keep going. Be a bit careful about your health. You could die here if you aren't fast enough, but it usually isn't a problem. I'm gonna actually give myself full health here, so I just don't die while showing this. And for this boost here, it can be a bit difficult to get up without using your jetpack, but luckily this is really easy with the Feral Largo. So you just need to do a full jump and then release it under your feet, and you get up here, no jetpack required, tons of height to spare. Just look straight down. You don't have to do anything with the wall. Just run over here and do that. Now, if you don't have a Feral Largo, if none of them spawn, or if they're really out of the way, you don't need one to just jump without energy. It's just much harder. This is why I like to keep a slime, so I can do something like this, run into a wall, and then do a slime boost to get up there. Try to do that without energy here. Yeah, again, it's definitely harder. You also could do like this sort of jump, and try to angle it in that corner so you get a little boost off it, like that. Or again, do it like this. And you probably will end up using your energy here. Just try not to use too much. Enough so you can sprint in this upcoming section will be just fine. You also can make it without any slimes, but it's a bit tricky. You have to jump off this high section here into this corner so you gain a bit of height to get up there. Try to do that here. That probably would have worked without energy, but just tapping like that's perfectly fine. Yeah, just like that. It's a bit difficult, especially if you aren't very comfortable with this type of jump. But once you get up here, you probably will have pretty low energy, around like 40. But you don't have to wait, just starts running here. And you should have perfect amount to stop right before here. You want to jump over this, and then wait till you get it back to full. You'll probably be around full at about this area. From here, just fully sprint. Go up this left side, over here, keep sprinting until you run out, which will be at around this area. You'll probably run out around here, where you can jump over, keep walking until you get to about here, and then you can fully sprint to the H note. You can press E, and then emergency return. Alright, so if you're looking to save a little bit of time and you're willing to go for probably the riskiest strat in the run, like 11 minutes in, then you can do this time save to save about 4 or so seconds. This is definitely really risky and I don't recommend it to most people, but to start out, you just want to start it the same as usual, sprint over to the door. And try to grab any slimes here. Also make sure that you grab a few slimes from the Dervish Gordo. You're going to want at least around 7. I have 8 here. And that should be good enough. But any slimes that spawn in this area, try to grab them. So there can be some in this area. And one over here. And once you get to the door, you'll probably have around 20 or so energy. So stop running once you get to more than 15, so you can do this little time save to get over here. If you have less than 15, you also have to walk, which isn't too big of a deal, but, you know, a little bit of a time loss. So, for this slime boost, it's a bit tricky. You can see the wall's a bit angled, and the geometry is just kind of messed up here. Kind of hard to explain. But you want to do this in as few slimes as possible. If you try to spam it here, it's not really a good idea. You can see I didn't even get all the way up. My guy is completely flying. But you need to time out the slimes to get as much height on each specific one. So you go here, you do this, and then wait until you're at the top or jumping off to do the next one. So do this. Wait till I'm at the top. Again, it's kind of hard to stay on the wall because of how it's slanted. But jump at the top and then redo it and wait the same. If you get stuck, try to hold into the wall so you don't fall too much. And yeah, that's another example of the wall just being really wonky. So again, wait till you're at the top, jump, shoot, jump, and you're up here. And for here, you need at least 1 slime. So if you are low on slime, say you only have like 4, and it'll probably take you at least 4 to do the boost. To get up here, you need to make sure you save 1 to get up here. And if you do it really fast, you'll probably have like 40 energy up here, but I don't really recommend sprinting here right away because you'll probably need it for this hover. So I recommend waiting until you get full. You'll be regenerating by the time you get to this point, unless you use your jetpack at the wall, which definitely try to not use jetpack while you going up this wall. But once you get up here, go over to here once you have full, and you're gonna have to do a slime hover off of this ground right here, which, as you can see, is not very optimal for a slime hover. Pretty much anywhere that you try to start it off of, it'll just completely fly away from you. Everywhere is bad. It'll either go too far forward or it'll go too far left, too far right. So be very specific about where you do it. I like to do it right on this dark red patch, and definitely go slow. Do not try to sprint. Do not try to do like a fast jump shot. It can work, but it's very risky, very late into the run. So just slowly walk and shoot under once you get there. And it'll be probably pretty slow, so definitely try to slow down and just try to stay on it as much as possible. And this is why I told you to save energy, so you can try to get over here. And most of the time, even with hours of practice on this trick, I will require use of energy for this hover, even though I can do every other hover completely easily. Something about this one just does not work as well. So again, do this, stay on the slime, use your jetpack if necessary, and get to this area over here. Now once you're up here, just jump onto this ledge, and then you need to make it over here. You can technically do a slime hover, but this ground is even more messed up, so I wouldn't recommend it. Just use your jetpack. Don't sprint over here if you're low on energy, just walk up. And then you can hug this corner to stay in the air a bit longer before having to use your jetpack. Just hug this rock, and then use your jetpack when you have to. After this section, you just want to sprint over here, land down here, sprint over here, and you'll probably land down here with around 20 energy or so. And from here, don't use your sprint until you're at full. You do, it'll line up pretty perfectly with the ending H note. So you get over here, you can do this jump, come over here, you're at the H note with only a little bit to spare. So that shred saves like 4 seconds if you do it perfectly, but any mess up, any mistake will pretty much eliminate the time save. Again, I don't really recommend it for most people. But that's pretty much it, and get on to the final sleeping section of the run. Alright, so after you get to the H note and you read it, you can go ahead and emergency return back to the house. And if you are on the version 1.4.3 or lower, you can go ahead and turn around during this until you see the press E to open the house text right here. If you're not on the latest version, or if you are on the latest version, then you won't be able to do this. You'll just have to turn around once the time goes up. And also be careful if you are not on the latest version and you can turn around. If you enter the house before it hits 6 o'clock on the next morning, then it will cause a 10-second penalty to be added to your run. So just be careful about that. So again, wait until you hit 6 and then open the door. So you'll either have 1 or 2 new messages. If you have 1, you can just completely ignore it. It'll be the 7Z rewards thing. It's completely cosmetic. You don't have to read it at all. But if you have 2, you have to open it to read this Casey note. And if you do get this note, whenever you sleep, you won't get a new note on this day. So you can just go ahead and sleep right away. If you did not get one on day 7, then you will get one here. So from this point on, it's pretty much just keep sleeping and hope that you get a mail on the following day. So you read one there, read one there, and any time that you don't get a mail is just unlucky. Here I actually didn't get one. So this is a time loss. This will lose you 5 seconds. You just won't get the proper days. It's unfortunate. So you just got to keep sleeping. This will be at most a day 16 now. But I'm going to keep reading. I actually read both of those, so it's fine. Day 14, I get the mail. This will not be the final day. It would be if you got proper RNG. So something to note, it's not too common. If you do not get the mail on the second to last day, so if you pay attention and you know that day 15 in this run will be the second to last day, if I do not get the mail, what you can do is actually exit the house to get the mail to show up. Then you can go ahead and sleep and it will pop up regardless of exiting the house or not. So This is the final mail. You can tell that it's the final mail because it'll pop up much earlier than the rest of them. It'll pop up at 12 instead of 6. And if you just pay attention to know that you got all of them, or if you missed a couple, then you'll know the proper day to end on. So you can just read it. You don't even have to look at text, but another tour is the final one. So you can just press escape twice, and the run is over. Alright, that's pretty much it with the run. Alright, so that's about it for the route. I know it was quite a long video, but I hope I was able to get through everything necessary to improve your times. If you have any more questions about anything that I missed or didn't explain in a very good way, feel free to ask in the Discord. If you are not a part of it already, I will have it linked in the description. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you improve your times. See ya.